If you drive even a few times a week, what I'm about to explain matters to you more than you probably realize. Because in 2026, parking enforcement across multiple U.S. states and major cities is tightening. Not in one dramatic, headline-grabbing way, but through dozens of smaller, quieter policy changes that add up. Higher base fines in certain cities, automatic inflation increases, faster late penalties, expanded camera enforcement, more license plate recognition systems, registration holds for unpaid tickets, congestion pricing enforcement, digital tracking systems that don't miss overstays. And the result isn't chaos. It's something more subtle. It's a steady increase in cost and consequence for everyday drivers. So today, we're going to walk through this carefully, in plain terms. What's actually changing in 2026? Which states and cities are adjusting parking fines? Why municipalities are doing this? How enforcement technology has evolved? Who is most affected? What happens if you ignore a ticket? And how you can protect yourself from escalating penalties. This is not alarmism. It's not partisan. It's not speculative. It's based on municipal budgets, transportation policy updates, and enforcement expansions that are publicly documented. Let's start with the big question. Why are parking fines increasing at all? The answer is money, but not in the way most people think. Cities across the country are facing mounting financial pressure. Infrastructure repair costs have surged due to inflation and supply chain disruptions. Road resurfacing, bridge maintenance, traffic signal upgrades, and transit operations are all more expensive than they were 5 years ago. At the same time, federal pandemic relief funding that supported city budgets from 2020 to 2023 has expired. That money helped stabilize municipal finances during economic downturns. Without it, cities have to rebalance budgets. There's also a long-term structural issue happening. Gas tax revenue is declining in many states because of improved fuel efficiency and electric vehicle adoption. Gas taxes historically funded roads and transportation infrastructure. As EV adoption increases, that revenue stream shrinks. So cities and states are looking for alternatives. Raising income taxes is politically difficult. Raising property taxes triggers backlash. Sales tax hikes require voter approval in many regions. But parking fines? Those can often be adjusted through city council ordinances as part of annual budget packages. And that's exactly what's happening in multiple municipalities entering 2026. Let's talk about California first. California does not have a single statewide parking fine schedule. Each city sets its own. But cities like Los Angeles, San Francisco, San Diego, and Oakland have all made adjustments in recent years. Los Angeles already has high fines compared to many U.S. cities. Standard parking violations often fall between $68 and $93 depending on the infraction. Violations involving disabled parking can exceed $400. What's changing isn't necessarily a dramatic doubling of fines. Instead, some municipalities are building automatic inflation indexing into their fine schedules. That means fines will adjust annually based on cost of living or consumer price index data. San Francisco has expanded bus lane camera enforcement. Parking or stopping in transit-only lanes now results in automated citations. Fines can exceed $100. Enforcement frequency has increased because cameras operate continuously. San Diego has implemented curb management policies in busy districts. Loading zones and short-term parking restrictions are being enforced more consistently, and fines for overstaying meters have incrementally increased. The pattern in California is not explosive hikes. It's steady, structured adjustments paired with more consistent enforcement. Now let's move to New York. New York City has long had complex parking regulations. Standard parking fines range widely depending on borough and violation type, often between $65 and $115. In 2025, congestion pricing began in Manhattan's central business district below 60th Street. Vehicles entering the zone must pay a toll. Failure to pay results in penalties that escalate over time. While congestion pricing is not technically a parking fine, it interacts with overall urban driving costs. New York also has strong enforcement mechanisms for unpaid tickets. If a driver accumulates $350 or more in unpaid tickets within a certain period, the Department of Motor Vehicles can suspend vehicle registration. That means you legally cannot drive the vehicle until the debt is resolved. New York has expanded automated enforcement tools: bus lane cameras, red light cameras, and speed cameras. These systems generate citations automatically. Parking enforcement vehicles use digital systems connected to centralized databases. When a meter expires, enforcement is alerted in real time. The result? Fewer missed violations. Now let's look at Illinois. Chicago is often cited as one of the strictest parking enforcement cities in the U.S. Standard fines can range from $60 to over $200 depending on the violation. If unpaid within about 25 days, fines can double. After further delay, additional administrative fees may apply. Chicago also uses automatic license plate readers extensively. Enforcement vehicles scan plates to identify vehicles with unpaid tickets. Once a vehicle reaches certain thresholds, it may be booted. Illinois municipalities can block vehicle registration renewal in some cases until outstanding tickets are resolved. This is where parking fines shift from minor inconvenience to significant consequence. Florida cities like Miami and Tampa have increased parking fines in high tourism districts. In some areas, base fines have increased from around $25 to $30 to $40 to $50. While that might not sound severe, late penalties can quickly double the amount. Texas cities like Austin have updated curbside regulations to manage rideshare and delivery traffic. Bike lane expansions and transit corridors have increased restricted zones. Enforcement is more consistent than in previous years. Washington, D.C. has adjusted fine schedules in designated high-injury network zones, areas identified as having high crash or pedestrian injury rates. Parking violations in those zones carry higher penalties. Massachusetts cities, including Boston, have updated parking fine schedules and expanded digital meter systems. Meter expiration is tracked electronically, reducing enforcement gaps. Now let's zoom out. There is no sweeping federal law increasing parking fines nationwide. What we're seeing instead is a coordinated trend of municipal adjustments, inflation indexing, and enforcement technology expansion. And that last part, technology, is critical. Automatic license plate readers, known as ALPR systems, are now widely used in major metropolitan areas. These devices scan license plates automatically and check them against databases of unpaid tickets, expired registration, or violations. Enforcement vehicles equipped with ALPR can scan hundreds of plates per hour. Camera enforcement in bus lanes and transit corridors captures vehicles that stop or park illegally. Citations are mailed automatically. Digital meter systems connect directly to enforcement databases. Once your paid time expires, the system updates instantly. Mobile parking apps send reminders, but they also log precise expiration times. In some cities, artificial intelligence tools help flag repeated violations for targeted enforcement. This automation increases efficiency and citation volume. Now let's talk about late penalties. Many cities impose late fees if a ticket is unpaid within 15 to 30 days. Those late fees often double the original fine. If unpaid further, additional administrative fees may apply. Some jurisdictions refer unpaid tickets to collections agencies. Administrative costs are added. In several states, including New York, Illinois, California, Maryland, and Washington, D.C., unpaid tickets can block vehicle registration renewal. That creates a compounding problem. Expired registration can result in additional tickets. Additional tickets increase debt. Some cities use booting programs for vehicles with significant unpaid fines. Now let's talk about who is most affected. Urban residents are affected first because street parking is more common. Gig economy workers are heavily impacted. Delivery drivers and rideshare drivers often rely on short-term curb stops. With stricter enforcement, temporary stops can result in citations. Low-income drivers are disproportionately affected because flat fines represent a larger share of income. Suburban commuters driving into city centers face congestion pricing and stricter enforcement zones. Tourists unfamiliar with local rules are also vulnerable. Now let's examine the policy rationale. Cities argue that higher fines deter unsafe behavior. Blocking bike lanes, bus stops, crosswalks, or fire hydrants creates safety risks. Curb space is viewed as limited public real estate. Cities want compliance. Revenue stabilization is another factor. Critics argue that parking fines function as regressive revenue tools. Some cities have implemented payment plans or hardship programs. California has limited income-based relief options for some traffic fines. Chicago offers payment plans, but these programs vary widely. Now let's address inflation indexing. Some cities have built automatic annual fine adjustments tied to cost of living metrics into their ordinances. That means fines increase without a new vote each year. This reduces political friction but ensures steady growth. Now let's consider the broader economic environment. Transportation budgets are under pressure. EV adoption reduces gas tax revenue. Road repair costs are rising. Public transit funding gaps remain. Municipalities are seeking stable revenue streams. Parking enforcement provides one. So will fines continue to rise? Incrementally, likely yes. Will we see dramatic statewide jumps overnight? Unlikely. Most adjustments are local and gradual. But enforcement intensity will likely increase through automation. Now let's talk about practical steps. Know your city's fine schedule. Use official parking apps. Set reminders for meter expiration. Pay tickets promptly to avoid late penalties. Check registration status before renewal deadlines. Understand restricted zones and transit corridors. Avoid blocking bike lanes or bus stops even briefly. If you receive a ticket and believe it's incorrect, contest it quickly. Ignoring it is rarely wise in 2026, because enforcement systems are more interconnected than before. Now let's address a common misconception. Parking fines are not uniform across states. They vary city to city. When you hear states are increasing parking fines, it often means major municipalities within those states. The impact depends on where you live and drive. The final takeaway is this. Parking enforcement in 2026 is more automated, more data-driven, and more financially consequential than it was a decade ago. Small mistakes are less likely to be overlooked. Late payments escalate faster. Registration consequences are more common. This isn't dramatic policy revolution. It's steady, structural change. And it affects everyday drivers more than national headlines suggest. So if you drive in urban centers, rely on street parking, or work in delivery or rideshare services, paying attention to local rules matters more than ever. Because in 2026, the difference between a minor inconvenience and a costly problem is often just a few days, and one missed payment deadline.